Okay guys, great. Welcome back to the Silkworm development part 2. So yesterday, I actually believe I did a little bit of this off stream, but essentially, I was largely having problems with the VR not starting for some reason. But we were doing project setup, and now that's all set up. And we got the entire city of New York in here. So if we turn off I guess fog is off. Maybe I need to turn this to dynamic clipping. Yeah, you see we have a small part here, and this is where I'll be testing. Um, but before we move forward with the whole city, obviously this is what we want. I mean, this is cool. If you can swing around all this, like you're down in here, like that's going to be extremely epic. The problem is, if you take a look at main camera, let's set this to like 20,000. If you take a look at the performance here, we're looking at 5.7 million verts. In the budget for Quest 1, which we're also trying to target. Oh, dang it, guys. I have the cameras messed up. My bad. Properties. Okay, cool. Sorry about that, but now you guys can see me. Hopefully you were able to hear me earlier. So if you look at the performance, like, yeah, you can see the whole city. It's extremely awesome. If you look at the performance, it's in the 5 millions, and that's really just not going to do. So essentially what we're trying to do now, well, what I've already done is we got well, let's see. So first of all, you can set. We're just going to say it's a foggy day, so your visibility is not going to be that high, but it's better to have the city than to not have it, I think. And so essentially, you'll only be able to see. Let's put you down here. You'll essentially only be able to see that much of the city at a time. And it'll just be a really foggy day. So this is, I mean, these are big buildings, so you're seeing pretty far. But essentially, then we'll turn on fog, and it'll be something like this, where I don't know what the values will be yet, but essentially it'll fade out into the background, and it'll kind of look, basically before that clipping plane hits, it'll fade out to the background, so it'll look like the things are just fading in. The problem was that even with that, the Quest wouldn't have been able to run it because these meshes are so big. These meshes are so big that even if, like this one here, it's all of this, it's this whole city block, so even if you're seeing just this tiny tip of this building here, it's going to render all of this. And you won't see that, but it is going to be doing that. So we needed to split the meshes up, essentially, is what it ended up being. But I found something for that. And now what we're looking at is this city block. I think I just need to make a skybox material. Oh, and you know what? I think I need to... Anyway. But we're going to test this on Quest just to make sure before moving forward. Because we might just have to do square blocks for buildings. Okay. Skyboxes. Let's go ahead and change the scene name to main. Turn that off. And we'll change this to skybox. And we'll set it. For now, let's just do a color, just so that the fading is easy. I mean, it might end up being that we just have to do this sort of color, which is a little bit of a bummer, but let's say that it's kind of white like fog. That's probably about a fog color right there. Well, actually, let me take off my flux first. Yeah, that looks foggy enough. Maybe a little bit wider. Probably something like that is sort of this like not Resident Evil fog, Silent Hill style fog. Of course, it's not going to look that nice, but this is mainly gameplay oriented, not. Okay, and then we'll have fog, and we'll just grab the same color as the background. So you see right now you can't see any of it. We'll change that to, honestly, maybe we'll just do linear. And we'll go ahead and turn the grid off. Okay, so this is what they'll see. It'll be like you're going through like a really foggy city, essentially. Start and 201. Because what is there? All right, let's say that they can see 250. 251. Okay, and let's turn this to 250 as well and see what we get. Okay, cool. So I actually think this will be pretty cool. Well, actually, you know what? We probably won't do fog. We'll probably end up doing like a storm so that it makes sense. If we can get rain in, we might, but that probably won't. But we'll probably have like thunder. Maybe overhead we'll have some clouds, like thunder clouds, and then we'll have thunder rolling and stuff like that. That way it kind of feels like this environment makes sense. Okay, cool. So this is what we'll be testing. So essentially now, I guess we're gonna go in here and clear all the sub meshes. Don't mind the dogs. So you see it's this big mesh right now, and then we create the sub meshes, and now this mesh renderer is actually turned off. You see it looks the same. But now, so that they're broken into tiny blocks now. So I don't know if this will be a problem once we do it to the whole city. It might just mean that it takes really long to load into the game, but overall I'm not too worried about it. Let's do that for each of them. Okay, cool. And then we're just going to go ahead and already... We're just going to build to it, essentially, just to make sure that it runs frame rate. Okay, so we'll have a second here while we're waiting for this to build. Honestly, with the fog, it actually did not look as bad as maybe I thought it was going to look. I think this should be fine. And I do think that the performance will work out. I don't know. The only unknown is if I have a whole city and it's doing frustum calling, which is what the user can see, and I've set it to 250 meters, and it cuts. I don't know how good the frustum calling is. It might still be, these objects are all static. Okay, so it's having some problems. That's fine. I'll finish explaining this. So these are all static, so it's probably going to build some really efficient data structure that allows it to frustum call really fast, even if you have 6 million objects in the scene. Because it's going to be like a binary call. It's basically gonna take. Oh, here's the whole city, by the way. Pretty cool. Maybe I should be testing down here, honestly, but whatever. So you have the whole city of New York in here. But anyway, so yeah, it's because if you're calling all this, man, I don't know. I just don't know. I think it might end up being pretty bad. We'll test it twice. We'll test it with just the city block, and we'll test it with all of it and see what happens. Hopefully it doesn't give it trouble. But anyway, if it calls all this, it's all gonna be broken up into like 4 squares. It'll say like, is the frustum anywhere in this 4th square? No, then get rid of all of this. Is it anywhere in this 4th square? No, get rid of all of it. It's not gonna go through each one individually. But that is a lot of mesh renderers to turn off. It doesn't really turn off the mesh renderer as far as I know. It doesn't like have to actively do this for each one, but I'm sure it has some efficient way to do it. I'm sure it'll be fine, hopefully. Living in a pages of... And how many are there? Should I write a script for this, or should I just do this? That's not terrible. I might honestly be able to do that I'll probably write a script for it. Anyway, let's go back to these. And what is it saying? Okay, that's fine. I actually don't care about this. So let's let that build again. Yeah, and essentially this time we'll just do this city block, and then you guys won't be able to see, but all I'm gonna do is go in there and check a little graph that I have in there that basically tells me for performance. It's called OVR metrics. I very much recommend getting it and setting it up throughout your whole development process. Just keep it on, essentially. Maybe it hurts performance like by 1%, but that percent is pretty much negligible. So, and then it'll give you an accurate view on how you're doing performance-wise the whole way through. Because last time I made a game, I made the whole thing, and then I realized, A, that it was having frame rate spikes that I wasn't noticing, and B, that that it was running at max throttle the whole time. It was like up at like the highest it could be, essentially, which means the battery life would have been like 5 minutes. So I had to go through and just change a crazy amount of stuff. It was pretty brutal, actually. So I really recommend doing it the whole way through if you want to be quick. Got this little ocarina to see. Pretty cool. It'd be a great time for any questions, by the way. So this has to happen each time the first time you build something out, it has to build all these shaders, so that essentially it doesn't have to do that on the fly. Because there is that, I believe you can write a game engine that will load those on the fly, but it's pretty notorious for causing frame drops. That's why if you get something like an emulator for Wii or like Switch or something, it will you'll download all the shaders for the game up front and build them all out. That way it doesn't have to load them, like hot load them, while the game is running. It just makes everything easier. So that's what Unity's doing. Okay, yeah, go ahead and allow access. And this is actually the long part here. So that rest of that will become very short after this first build. This part is long. And for those of you who don't know, I was having a hard time, I was like, what was it? ILP, and I didn't realize it was IL to CPP, which is Intermediate Language to C++, which is what they're doing. They're changing it from C# to C++. It's just funny, I just totally didn't realize that for a little bit. And once I did, it was way easier to remember the name, obviously. So I'll go ahead and while this is waiting, I'll change this from a rift to a quest. Oh. It's not letting me grab the menu. Here we go. Man, Rift is so just done so. Okay. Living in the pages of a book she read. Well, if you guys haven't seen, you can put your couch in your environment now, so that's kind of cool. See a real-time view of your physical environment when your headset goes close to the bed. I'm just looking through the experimental features. Okay, and it's just still building out, but that makes sense. Always good. If you're worried about something performance-wise, just check it early. You don't want to be checking it later. So bad. I would certainly be very disappointed if it ended up that this couldn't run with the city. Let me think. Okay, and it's almost done there. The next one will probably be around like 40 seconds compared to this one. Okay. Huh, that's surprising. Normally it doesn't allow you to just launch it. It says I need the controllers. Continue. Okay, and I'm not seeing any performance hitches, so that's a good sign. And it is at CPU level and GPU level are both at 2. I think the GPU level normally sits at 3, so it's like even under throttling to hit this. It's not having trouble at all. And it's running like 100 frames a second currently. Okay, so that's a good sign. But I'm not fully convinced yet because we don't have the whole city in there. We just have that one block. And even though it will frustum call all of that and that won't be rendered on the GPU, I can't say for certain that that frustum calling is not going to completely overload the CPU and just ruin our game. So let's do this. Let's turn on fog. And let's build again. Actually, you know what? This might take a minute again since the whole city's in here. And let me make sure that this will stay at about 70K. Oh, dang it, it's not a rift anymore. And change back. Okay. Let's check this again. Okay, so now it's up at 200. Let me get rid of the rest of the city. Down to 75. I don't know what part of the city it's rendering, but let me take a look at this real quick. Let me turn this fog off. Where are these 4 buildings? So it's these 4. Okay, and the XR rig should really be right in the center of that. Well, where is it? It's not quite in the center. Let me grab these ones too, and these ones. I'm just trying to make sure that it's not like rendering any entire city blocks. And I think that's all of them. And let me move these out. Don't know where this guy is, but maybe I can find him. It's probably a faster way to do this, but I'm already committed, it looks like. And it should just be another like 15 seconds. Sometimes it's like, oh, okay, I guess I've committed to this. And though it'll take a long time, it won't take as long as switching to another option. And lesson learned on that one, I guess. Okay, very cool. So now this will take a hot second here. Okay, because I need to copy the component. And this is another thing that will just take a minute. It's a little bit of tedious work, but... And for the rest of them, I am going to write a script so that I don't have to do this, but for right now, this should be fine. We're almost done with the first pass already, so, and there will be 3 passes of this. Okay, and then we need to paste component values. Well, let's just start at the bottom. Face component values. Face component values. Face component values. Face component values. This is pass 2. We're halfway through this already. Okay, cool. And then round 3 is just crit. What just happened there? Huh. Is all of them gonna have that problem? Huh, okay, I don't know what's going on here. I see, it must have been that. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, this field is serialized, so when you copy a component and paste it, it can do that. But I grabbed it from these ones who did have children. Oh man, I don't want to have to paste it again. Let me see. So if I take this one and I copy the component now, all right, looks like we're doing this one more time. That's fine, sometimes that happens. We'll do both passes at the same time this time though. what I'll do to test. Okay, and we're pretty much almost done with this, so. The reason we're doing this, by the way, is that it put it up to like 200k verts when I added the whole city, but all of that should be called, so I must be rendering some part of a city block that was like had its way in there somehow. So I'm just making sure a wider city block. Paste component values. I'm just using a wider city block now to make sure that that's not the problem. Okay, 70k, that seems about right. I just don't know where this 200k is coming from. And is it really rendering 200k? Is there some sort of... Uh-oh. Might have crashed it. Oh no. And it doesn't look like the scene was saved. Wow, we're like seriously running into some problems. Some like just kind of bogus problems. Okay, thank God. Let me get out of this real quick and save the scene. Okay. Man, I'll tell you what, Unity has really not been making a strong case for itself recently. I'm just saying black and it's not working. And this is the same problem I was having yesterday, where the VR is just not working. And I've made like 20 VR games. Normally in times like this, just, or at least, I don't know, I mean, I never did this before, so at least recently, just closing it and opening it has helped. But man, like, I don't know what Unity's been doing recently. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on here. This is rough. This is classic, just crazy rough Unity development. Even the camera's just full on not working. Okay. All right, and now it works. You know, sometimes you just have to rotate a camera and then it'll suddenly work. Sorry, I probably got more annoyed by that than I should have. Let's see. Yeah, so there's nothing new rendering in the scene when I turn this on. But the draw calls increase. What is it drawing? But anyway, so that's what I was hoping the frame debugger would get us. So let's take a look. Okay, it might be that the frame debugger just doesn't work either. Because it appears to be crashing it again. Okay, and for some reason it's not showing the draws like it should. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it's been like this. Wait. Oh wait, now it is. Literally I didn't change anything. I was in the same window the whole time. To be honest, I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing here. I was basically trying to figure out what it was drawing, but it doesn't look like that's gonna work. Something like this you'd probably want to use render doc for. Okay, broke it again. Looks like frame debugger just breaks VR essentially. Okay, yeah, it's broken. I did that last time. Okay, it's still just broken. We'll rotate it, and we'll do this. And then we'll rotate it. Okay, interesting. So we'll close it. We'll open it. Okay, no, it said frustum. Size of the frustum. Okay, let's go back in here. And this is when progress can get slow in Unity, when Unity starts introducing bugs for you to try to solve. Okay, so it looks like you heard it here first. If your VR is not working for no reason whatsoever, you need to restart Unity, then you need to rotate it a little bit. You need to turn track device driver off and on, and then you need to rotate it a little bit again. And then it will magically work. All right, let's do this. Let's turn that off. Start it again. I just want to see that if I move these out of the way, okay. So yes, if I move them out of the way, it does stop contributing those verts. We'll try like a couple more things and then we'll just go on a Google spree. All right, 60K verts. 100K. But from where, you might ask? What was it that I was about to test? Yeah, I was just gonna... Like, this one is still 200. And I'm not really even seeing anything. Okay, now I'm wondering if it has something to do with that, like if these submeshes. Okay, from right here I'm getting 70K. Now I'm wondering if the submeshes are even doing anything. So yes, obviously. Because now it's 200. Because now it's 200. Man, I just don't... That's so weird. It's like totally bizarre. All right, let's see. I'm just wondering if there's a difference between a submesh and a mesh, and that maybe even though it's a submet, yeah, but there's a clear difference between when they don't have submeshes and they do. Like one is actively like 3 times less the vertices. But why on earth would it then? I don't. There's something I'm not understanding about the way that it does this. And the whole project, like the guy made it. The whole reason he made it was for this reason, for this type of optimization. So it must, in just context of that, it must work that way. Okay, well, let's I mean, heck, I'll put this over here for now. Just to be quicker. Okay, cool. And then let's start it. So I'm just thinking about writing an editor script real quick, because I'm almost... Like, I'd be curious if the batching... What's creating 23 set pass calls right here? There's nothing in the scene. And I don't want to do frame debugger again since it breaks everything. The only thing left in the scene is the skybox. And the skybox doesn't make 23 set pass calls. Alright. I'm getting too into the weeds here. This isn't really what a monthly game is about. Let me reset my brain here for a second. Okay, anyway. So, yeah, essentially, what was I going to do? I had all these buildings. All right, let's see if we can... Well, actually... Okay, so this guy here... So it's only 792 vertices, this guy. I wish it would just be still. But it's saying that it's contributing 2k vertices. Oh, sorry, 1.6, which might be explained by the two eyes. Maybe, is this like a URP thing? SRP batcher is not on? But the point is they are contributing individually. I was hoping to move it. Weird. Wait a second, what's happening here? So it's bouncing between 7 and 5 right now. And eventually it's 5 and 4. But that's only when it's... $400 meters away, which is definitely more than my frustum. So the unknown here, I think, about Unity that I was unaware of is that the frustum that's given to you is less than... It must be less than the actual frustum they're going to use. Like, it must call bigger. So let's go into a little Google spray on this. Oh. Okay, so there's two thoughts here. One, it could be that the bounds on the mesh... One, it could be that the bounds on the mesh are actually... That the bounds on the mesh are actually not correct. But that doesn't exactly sound right because either the frustum is... All right, this I'm curious about. Oh, I see. It's not an editor script. Well, maybe it is. Anyway. I assume you have to put it on the camera. Hmm. Why is Unity giving me this trouble right now? It inherits mono behavior. What does it think mono behavior is? And why didn't this work? Okay, anyway, so I'll give up on the previewing for now. Question is really... Okay, cool. Anyway, so what did I done last? I basically realized either it was the bounds was not correct. Okay, so it's either that the bounds is not correct. I don't believe the frustum is so much bigger that it gets it like 400 meters out. But if you look at this one here, it didn't exactly split it up via the grid. I'm almost wondering if it's just that. Some of them can be pretty far away. So it might just be that it's not exactly optimal, the script. Because this is still like 2 city blocks away, which means that maybe some of those other ones, it's still rendering most of the city, since it looks like it kind of grabs a lot of it. I wonder... So that's probably what it is. It's probably simply just that. Let me clear submeshes. It's so many submeshes, oh my god. But they're tiny. You know? And it might just... Alright, so let's try this. Okay, first of all, let's write an editor script for this at this point. It's okay, dog. Okay, cool. So then I need to do... Oh, give me a break here. Okay. So we'll do object. Okay, so that's kind of a start. But it requires that the mesh splitter script is already on it. So I guess let's... Well, they do have an API for this. Do they have a set parameters or something? You know, and interestingly, I'm still not actually positive that I'm going to be able to hit these. Anyway, can I not set this? Alright, fine. I had it at 25. Okay, so those are all cleared. So just not calling, or it's not, but why? Oh, my bad. Classic. All right, let's take a look at it. Okay, so now it's actually split up. But, you know, I mean, how many objects can you really have in a scene? Okay. And now it's 50. So now it's definitely lower. So that's good. The batches are extremely high, but I think the SRP batcher will take care of that for me. And then what was I gonna check? Oh yeah. Render pipeline management through render loop internal. Yeah, it certainly could be said that it has an effect on the rendering performance. I wonder... Okay, interesting. So it looks like it'll probably just be some sort of trade-off here. But anyway, let's, what do we need to check out? Okay, I want to... Basically, I want to do the whole city now. I'm just trying to figure out how to make that editor script better for this. Where does it end up putting them? Okay, just right at the top. That's fine. So then... I'll just kind of code this a little poorly. Okay, fine. Well, is there a better way to do this maybe? For each game object. I don't really want to go recursive over the whole scene. This might crash Unity. Just a heads up. Is object get components in children, mesh split controller for each mesh split controller split and splits split. Don't know why that's not running. Just give it a second here. Okay. Oh. Oh, I'd click generate. Okay, let me think here. Oh, I see what happened. Okay. So it's not promising, I'll say that. It doesn't give me huge faith. Okay, clear that. It's just going through and changing the layering on like millions of things. Okay. So it's not looking great, considering even the PC couldn't handle it. It's too many objects, I suppose. And there is always the option of breaking them up into scenes. Well, first of all, I don't think it needs to be as fine-grained as I made it. I could probably change that back to every 50. every 50 meters instead of 25, and then maybe I can put them in scenes. Okay, this is taking longer than maybe I thought it would. But we'll just let it go. Because we can think in the meantime. Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking that I don't need to go that crazy with the number of buildings. I'm also thinking that if I get rid of I might create a new scene. I might duplicate this scene. And if I like right now the mesh renderers are turned off, but it still feels like it needs to load all those meshes in, when really it should just be loading the sub meshes when it's playing. I mean, so I'm kind of duplicating the meshes. So I think I can get rid of any instance. I think I can get rid of any instance of a mesh renderer there, and then that should be good. Or that should help as well. Yeah, there's a few things I can see that have a big impact. Okay. Wow, okay, this is really taking a while. Maybe I can just exit out, reset. All right, let's take a look here. Yeah, so let's go ahead and clear those. Let's go back over here. And then let's so that's basically what it is. Okay. So I create a new scene. I'll duplicate this one. I'll call it main testing. I'll open that one up. Open this up. Okay, cool. So now this one is the one we're using. And then I'll clear those submeshes. See, because all this stuff was still on it, so it's still dealing with all that. I wonder, well, first of all, for the city gen, let's make the grid size 50. Then for this, Let's make it all batching static. Yeah, like 25 is a little too small, you know. So let's do this. Let's see what that gets us. That one shouldn't be nearly as bad. Yeah, okay, it's already done. Let's take a look at it. Okay, and with the whole city split, it is within budget, essentially, is what I was looking for there, and that it is within budget. I don't know. What did I have on here? I have dynamic batching on. Let me. Okay, and let me take all of these. Get rid of that. Remove that. Remove that. And remove that. So now it's really just the submeshes that are in the scene. Right, it's just these submeshes. Huh, I don't know what's happening here. Oh no, did it just start up again? Okay, cool. It's really spiky, weirdly. Culling the dynamic objects and culling the shadow casters is costing a lot. Let's see if we can get rid of that. Dang it. If we turn off shadow casting there, it shouldn't really matter if they have. And then they are static. So I don't know why it said it's culling dynamic objects. Because none of them are dynamic. Okay, let's go ahead and redo the testing. And that's what the testing scene is for. We'll duplicate this. Call it main testing. Open it up. And we'll use the lessons we learned, essentially. Okay, cool. So now we'll do CityGen clear, just to clear them first. Then we'll basically set everything to static. Then we will grab all these, except breaker. And we'll turn off dynamic occlusion. Turn that off. Shadow casting is off. Okay, cool. Make sure shadows are off. And what else was there? Project settings. Okay, cool. So then we'll do CityGen split city. Okay. Take a look at these. Okay, so it looks like it basically um, looks like this setting here doesn't actually mean anything. Nor does this one. So that's a little worrisome. Let me take a look at it. Mesh splitter. Ooh, okay. Okay. It is static. Dynamic occlusion is off. What else did I add to it? Cast shadows is off. Very cool. Okay. So now just remove all that. Save it. I don't know why these weren't made static. I mean, okay. I know there's like this new thing where you can set up multi-brox pruning broad phase. Okay, I might need to get into that later. Okay, cool. And then what does it have this extent as right now? Okay, I'll need to keep that in mind too. Anyway, let's take a look here. So let's go ahead and run this scene and see what happens. All right, the verts are looking nice. Well, I don't know. Let's look at the hierarchy. All right, looks like maybe that helped a little. I'm not quite sure, to be honest. Okay, now my question. Okay, so I've got everything split up into these. basically the whole world is out here and you're within performance budget, at least on the vertices. That doesn't mean that it's going to be able to do the physics or the um, frustum culling. I think with the frustum culling, I can probably... I mean, now that they're all broken up nicely, I can probably do this and break these up into scenes. You know, I could probably just break these up into scenes. And then... Oh, dang. I wonder if I can do it automatically, though. And then basically, like, load in a scene additively. I do wonder if that's gonna be messed up as well. But anyway. I also think we might be able to get some performance by... I do think we could probably get some more performance as well by removing this parent object, because it's going to have to... And does the mesh split controller have an update? No. What about a start? What about an enable? What about an awake? Okay. I do think we might be able to get rid of these objects here. And that could help. We can put them into different scenes. Although I might have to make that a... That might need to be an editor script, alright, but that's not too bad. I mean, I really would just like go through each object, check its center position, and then... Although, what are the... The pivots are all the same, unfortunately. But that's not too bad. Anyway, because I'd be loading like city blocks anyway, so these would probably all be in the same loaded city block. I'd probably be loading them like, I don't know, this size. So, and then I'd basically just put those all in a scene, save the scenes, and then mark them for what they were. And then when you were traveling around, it would give it to you based off that. Okay, but anyway, so let's go ahead and build this. Don't want to build that one. Oh, you know what? We need to take the lighting, environment, turn it on, go back to my XR rig. Cool, it's linear, it's 250. Main camera is 250. Okay, cool. Linear, I'm doing linear because it's cheaper. It's easy to calculate a linear interpolation. It's exponentials and I guess notoriously costly thing to do on a GPU or anywhere really. Okay. And let me play it one more time just to make sure that it's going to be the amount of verts that I was expecting. And had me in the sky above. Tell me that you love me. I know I want you. Let me actually... Okay, so performance is pretty much the same. I'm just trying to make sure performance always stays fairly good. Looks like it gets above 100 in some points there, but it'll be fine. It's a simple shader too, so I'm probably looking at more like 150K or something for a performance budget. What does a stormy day look like? So that's kind of the fog I was thinking of. Yeah, unfortunately that kind of visibility doesn't really make sense unless it's fog. But maybe I can mix fog and storm. Is that even a thing? Has that ever happened? I guess probably. I maybe could make something like this. This could be interesting. Where it's white on the bottom and becomes more gray. Anyway, I probably should have been building this while I was looking. And so even if this works, we'll probably want to still... Wait, what? Lone scene additive unity. But yeah, we'll still need to test the physics. Well, in some sense at least. I'll need to change the layer to building. Because the only other aspect to this game really is just some basic physics. But like anything could run this physics. I'm just going to be shooting a web and swinging from it. But that might be a problem if I have like 6,000 mesh colliders in my scene. Again, they have algorithms to deal with that sort of stuff, but mesh colliders themselves are pretty hardcore, and then on top of that, we have a lot of them. And we have a lot of them, and they are far ranging, so their bounds are big. So it'll be checking several mesh colliders each time you do it. You know what I'm saying? Like if the wall, I don't know. Like because it's a little piece of the building here and one over here, even if I'm over here and shooting something, it's still gonna check if it hits this, which is just extra nonsense that I don't need. But we already explored the option of having like an insane amount of objects all split up, and that didn't work. I'm actually not quite sure why that didn't work, but it didn't work. I guess it was just too much calling. Although, were they static when I was doing that? I don't recall if I had even made them static. It might have been that they were dynamic. Yeah, interesting. Alright, I'm pretty much expecting this not to work. If it does work, that would be nice, but... Alright, I still have it as a rift. Alright, it appears the headset has crashed. Don't know if that was from the game or no, because I think it was a rift at the time. So let me just restart it real quick. If I can find this controller. Ah. And tell me that you love me. I know I want you. Problem is, if it has a hard time on the Quest 2, it's for sure going to have a hard time on Quest 1. Okay. I see. So I think that I'm just seeing a black screen, really. I think that it's just a really insane loading time. So we'll just let this run for a little bit. I'm just going to sit in here just to see if anything happens. But I don't know. What's like the longest loading games? GTA 5. It's like a 2-minute. Let's see if it can even run it. All right, good news. It was, in fact, just a really long loading time. It was, in fact, just a really long loading time. Oh, you know what? I need the fog to be shorter than the actual frustum. Because what's the math there? Okay, yeah, but CPU level's at 2, GPU level's at 2, and it's running at a consistent frame rate. So that's really good news. And it took forever to load in, so I know it's the new version. For a second there, I was wondering if maybe it's the old version. So that's all really good. Okay. And I don't mind a long loading time as long as I just like... Basically, I'll just give some text while it's happening and then say, oh yeah, sorry, it's a long loading time. It has to load the entirety of New York, so don't worry about it. I wonder... Okay, so that's really exciting. Okay, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick and then I'll be back. Back up, back up, back up, back up, back up, back up, back up. Okay, so let's see. So that's good news. I don't mind a long load time. I think that will probably not deter people. It was probably about 45 seconds, which isn't awesome, but it's not terrible either. So, but I'm just glad that the first calling wasn't too much for it. I now am. Now I'm wondering about the physics of it all. Like if I. And I wonder. I mean, eventually, if I have time, I'll probably do the scene loading thing, or at least see if that works. You know, realistically, I can also just get rid of this whole part. Like, there's really no need for this to be in here. I could probably just get rid of all that and save myself like 20 seconds on the load time. So maybe I'll do that. But for right now, let's. Like, it can realistically. I mean, it doesn't even have to really be New York. It could just be like this part of New York and this part, and I can just kind of smush them together. And that would probably be good enough. Okay. Okay, cool. So now we just need to set something up essentially to see if it is going to work. Okay, so let's grab all these objects here. We'll add a layer and we'll call it building. I'm just going to shoot out some orbs or some. Well, actually, Yeah, I'll do that. I'll shoot out. I'll just basically shoot out like little balls from my hand.
putting your hand up, he's gonna like block them.
Well,
Like,
you're supposed to do this.
but
It's
you're
supposed
supposed
to
to like
be
flex it, but like,
no. It's supposed to be like this. Like you're not
oh,
supposed to just like take
move it with it.
yeah. When you do take it, that's just it hits you off guard. That's when you see it cost you. It's a lot of damage. So it's like when you see
Okay,
like
so that's building. And actually, let me go ahead and
they meant to like
open up the
stick
main scene.
hook
Save this one.
yeah. So I
Open up the main scene. Save this one.
I really didn't think that you were gonna pick like that. Literally, that's why I was like, what?
I thought he was. I thought the dig. I thought this motion was the dig.
Oh no,
So that's where I was like, I can do that every time. I need
that's
to
a
dig every time.
drive.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
That's where I was like, I
Yeah.
need to dig every time. I kind of
Yeah.
got
Okay.
step in.
No,
So
no.
I was like, I don't
Yeah,
even know
yeah.
what to tell you.
You don't know
Ugh.
what to say though.
I
And
don't
again,
really
though,
have the vocabulary for it.
but again, though,
Main. Open it up.
is better. He doesn't have to. Like
We'll clear
Mike
that.
Tyson, bro.
Save it.
That nigga's not gonna dig.
Mm-hmm.
Floyd Mayweather, he literally boxes like this. You think he's gonna dig? No, he's aiming to knock you the fuck out up here.
Yeah.
He knows he doesn't have the strength to like take you out by exhaustion by your body, but he knows he can hit you with a good hit in your jaw, and you're gonna hit the
And you're
floor.
done. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like it depends on how you're fighting and how you're boxing, who you're boxing. And so that's why I was again like trying to say like for me specifically, that's why I was using it as the best
Okay.
possible example.
Main testing. Open again now. All of those are set to building.
That was in the corner. I don't know how
And more importantly, all the sub meshes are set to building, which actually hold the mesh colliders on them. And so now we're basically just going to.
Height and weight and all that into consideration. I was like,
exactly.
you're just a person trying to hit me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you have to take into account anytime if you were to actually get into a real fight. Because see, I'm not trying to teach you how to get into an actual fight because I know that you're not the type of person that would ever get into that scenario. You're never gonna get into a scenario where you're gonna fight somebody. Which is nah, I don't think it is because you can it's like you can get argumentative, but you can also diffuse a situation within 5 seconds. You see
Oh
what I'm
yeah.
trying to say?
I know if it gets
Like
too serious.
with Chad, dude,
Yeah.
I was shocked that you could diffuse the conversation like that. No one in the house can do that. You are the only
Okay.
person that could diffuse the conversation.
Like we had that conversation. I was like, I think it's because Chad doesn't want me to get angry, so I kind of couldn't do
I
it.
swear, but it's like you do have this ability to diffuse like tension in a sense, but it's like you
Sorry,
are
I'm kind of losing my train of thought. I'm like picking up on their conversation, and it's hard for me to think.
trying.
But essentially, okay, cool. Let's create a script real
I
quick.
get what you're trying to say, but I know that you get what I'm trying to say. And it's like, you know, it's like we
Shoot
both say the same thing.
projectile.
That's what frustrates me. We're both saying the same thing. Fuck. Like,
Like it's never anything too
Game
serious.
object
oh yeah,
projectile.
I think it's misunderstanding in both of us was usually
to acknowledge the misunderstanding.
to
Yeah,
acknowledge like if we made it or like could possibly have been.
yeah, because that's no, because again, the whole if thing, I was like, there's no fucking way. But as soon as the guy walked up and he was like, he's right. I was like, I did say that. Like it wasn't even because he said he's right. It's because we had 5 seconds to think like without talking to each other.
Mm-hmm.
We thought for 5 seconds, and I was like, I did say it.
Yeah.
And that's why like when after we got on the ground, I was like, dude, okay, I might not have said it. But yeah, it's just like yeah, no, it is phrasing a lot, but like oh my god.
I agree. That's all it is. It's like I'm not like arguing with you where I'm like, yo, you don't know your shit. Like what you're teaching me is
No, I know, but
valid.
it's like the way that you do it because you have to get your point across. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
sometimes the way that you do it is like you'll be like you know exactly what I'm talking about. You just be like, well, why? It's like
Oh yeah.
motherfucker.
He's
It's
making
like
me ask why.
yeah, no.
They're like, does there need to be a reason why? I'm like, yeah.
Let's do
But
right
that's what I'm
grip
saying. I don't like
pressed.
for me. It's hard for me to explain things in extraneous detail because I'm as a person I ramble.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to say things like I don't know the way that they are because I don't want to start rambling because I know people fucking hate that shit. So it's like when certain like instances happen, I'm like when people are like,
Shoot the
well, explain this. I'm like,
projectile.
are you fucking serious? It's like the person who
Okay, and
knows
this
that
will
I don't fucking
basically
know
just
what the fuck
say
is going on. It's like I'm like if I read it like
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. It's like I
shoot
told you to
projectile now.
explain too much to not annoy you, and now you're telling me it's annoying you that I didn't explain enough. It's like
Okay, cool. Sorry, I was just conflicting with the class name. but it's a test thing, so I don't care. And then so basically, I'm gonna do game object geo equals instantiate.
Like at a certain point that you were just arguing, and I knew that I could have just been like, okay, just fuck it. You know?
That's the funny bit is neither one of us wants to be like, okay, fine.
Okay, fine, fine.
I even told Brandy that yesterday. She was like, "Can we not just argue this argument?" I was like, "Yeah, we're both so dumb in that like
Yeah.
we don't want to be the one to like submit and be like, no,
No,
you're
yeah,
right.
you're right.
So we just defend our 2 points and we like claim out.
Exactly. And then we both go, okay, I get exactly what you're saying. I got what you were saying an hour ago. I got what you were saying an hour ago.
I don't know, times 30.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm not.
We can change this in a second here.
Like advanced would be teaching you, like for instance, we're at beginner level. Beginner level is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's exactly where we're at right now. We're not doing 5 and 6.
Echo.
We're doing movement. No,
Echo.
I'm kind of horrible.
I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
that I'm moving around.
Okay. Echo. Didn't expect that.
Echo. Echo. Get down. Go lay down. Go down. Go. Echo. Get down.
Don't I have a prefabs?
Yeah, go hang out by himself and hear something fun going on. He's like, I got mine happening.
Echo.
He's sort of pretty shit now.
This is exactly the type of dog that I want.
Oh, really? He's an asshole a lot of the time. But it's really funny because his tongue adjustments are
Yeah.
like totally perfectly fine when the second part's around, but it'll like Bonnie and then watch even in this he's like I think Coda thinks I'm the weakest member of the pack. And so he really tries to protect me and I'm like, oh, why are you gonna do that?
Yeah, no. Nothing, man.
Yeah.
Thinks I'm the weakest member of the pack. That's funny. Okay, sphere. We can get rid of that.
Like the new season Milan.
Yeah, yeah.
And like his first one was like this Pitbull and the guy was just like
Yeah, the problem is mainly all the saving. That's fine. We're just doing testing, and then we'll get rid of most of the city while we're actually developing.
and so he tries to approach it, the dog like starts barking and she's like, hey, hey, sweetie, it's okay. And he was like,
Right hand controller,
of course she's gonna keep doing that.
Exactly. Like,
shoot projectile,
You're not
speed 30.
controlling yourself. Yeah. And I was like, and I can see the way the smart thing will take the code. He's just like,
yeah, exactly.
calm down,
Mm-hmm. And see, and that's how people think I'm supposed to do with my dog. And I'm like, no, that's weird.
I think Randy has like a fine line of
Yeah.
like you have to like everyone physically be like
Because they don't understand.
yeah, they don't understand words.
That's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say. And like people go, oh my dog is smart, he can understand. Like no, he doesn't. He understands how you're talking to him, not what you're saying. Yeah, like that's reality. Like the differences. Like
Building projectile, building.
like my dog knows if I'm just like sitting there and I'm just rambling on like having normal conversation, then he's gonna sit next to me and I'm gonna pet him. He doesn't. He's not listening to me. I don't give a fuck. You know, like.
That's why Coda's kind of nasty.
Oh, I forgot that saving it takes so long. Okay. We only need to do this until we finish testing the physics. All right, let's see if this little script I wrote works. Oh no, it's not a rift.
Oh yeah, no.
It sucks having to switch back and forth, but fair enough. Okay.
I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I'm gonna just start matching later so you can't get there. That was the whole thing. Yes, my testosterone is through the roof. I'm not extending my testosterone either. I'm just building it to keep up with you. So.
I know, no, it's like, dude, you don't understand. I have this weird, like, I don't know, man.
No, I
Uh-oh.
Because that was my that was like my secret move. I would just be like, okay. And then people would get pissed. They'd be like, oh, you're just not gonna talk. And I'm like, no, I don't need to. It's like we're both arguing for no
Wait,
reason.
unless that's the edge of the building, I can't tell.
It's like in my brain, since we were in the house, I would have to prove a point. No one understands what I'm saying. I have to make everyone understand.
I make my shit.
Oh, what's the edge of the building?
Did you scan it?
Look at all these little balls falling. Okay, it appears that it is working, so that's good. Okay, cool. But my real question was... basically... Hey, let's put that up to 90. Still not really fast. My real question was if it was going to work on the Quest. Obviously, it was going to work on Rift. And for how long will it work on the Quest before, like, I shoot too many balls and it stops working? Yeah, I'm starting to feel pretty good about this because really I can get rid of most of this city. That's not a problem. People would be pretty exhilarated to know that they can go like throughout the entire city, and maybe we'll still do that. But I think overall they'll feel pretty good. And on Quest 2, I'll probably even on Quest 2 increase the view distance, and just lower it on Quest 1. Because it doesn't seem like Quest 2 is being pushed really that hard by it. And I don't mind the CPU throttling up a little bit. I don't expect them to play this game for like hours and hours, and I also don't care if it runs their battery down. Okay. So let's go ahead and build it. Oh, I need to stretch for a second. It's also not uncommon. Like, that's why loading screens are so long, is because... You know what, honestly... Yeah, because I don't even know if it does frustum culling on objects that are totally turned off. So I don't even need new scenes. Like, I'm fine with the loading screen. So I can just, like a 40-second loading screen. So I can just create some sort of grid system where the objects turn off if you're not close to them, which will basically reduce the frustum culling component yet again. And that's what these bigger games do. You know, they're not like... I mean, they do something similar to that, essentially. But they load it all up front. Like, people don't like to try to load things mid-game. Until recently. Now with the PlayStation 5, it'll greatly simplify that process. But, yeah, it used to be that people didn't like doing that. It causes frame stutter, so it was easier to just have a massively long loading screen and then load nothing later. Because like, RAM is so much too. Like, you can fit a ton of stuff in 8 gigabytes of RAM. I mean, obviously, I'm fitting the whole city of New York. City. Okay, cool.
No, the nature of high school is just the GED. I mean, or that's what you do. That's how you finish. You just go take a GED.
So that's finished. So let's hop in here. And again, you guys won't be able to see this.
You fail. You take another GED.
Okay, and let the loading screen begin.
Yeah, I had to go to Sunday school twice. I barely got out. I went to I did. But like we were all in the group. There was like a teacher brought in, so we were like at an actual location. I had an hour break from 11 to 4. I had an hour lunch break right after this happened.
Yeah.
You gotta be 60 kids in there.
Okay, let's see.
That's what you wanted to really know. There's no point. It's my thing is like high school is so high school's not really for like college. I would say is for school people. That's what I would say is for school. But high school, that shit is pure nostalgia. See, that's the
I'm
thing.
trying to. Sorry, you can't see this, but I'm making like as many of these balls as possible, just to see if I can lower the frame rate.
Because my pressure in high school was the pressure that I had in life right now. Okay. Take it easy. Okay. Yeah, no. Because in high school it was like I had dated this fucking girl for the first experience. I had to deal with adversity with the basketball I was in.
All right, it is increasing the frame rate, but I'm still about 3 milliseconds off. Oh, got my first lag. Okay, but I also had like 200 of these balls in there.
Like I have to sit here and I have to learn something that I'm never gonna use in my life. Do you think I'm gonna be like driving on a skateboard or anything? It fucking stop sign. Never is going to come up in conversation ever. So why would you even? I learned that. That's wasting my time. See, no, which is fine, but again, I think that math, science, and
Okay, cool.
I have to do like I think that English and history should be I think those
So that essentially, basically today we've proven that we can have the whole city in there, albeit we'll have long load screens, but whatever. We can have the whole city in there, and we can get rid of some if we need to. It does keep it under performance to split it up, and we can do some physics, which is the only other part of the game, really. I mean, there's some audio stuff, but it does put as sort of a limit on the physics. It basically means that we can't do the OB rope version where it would be like kind of a realistic silk swinging, which is fine. We'll just shoot one. It'll just be one silk thread, and you'll basically just swing along that like a pendulum, which will still be very fun. I don't think it'll matter too much. It's visually not as cool, but I mean, I'm in a city of fog right now, so it's nothing crazy anyway. It'll be more just fun. So, yeah. Thanks for tuning in, and have a good day.